In this video, we're going to look at the new vClusterPro integration for Rancher. We're going to get it set up, configured, and then we're going to deploy a cluster, and then we're going to import a cluster. Let's get started. So we're going to start out in the Rancher UI, and we're going to go over to the extension section. And here what we'll do is we will add the repository for vClusterPro. So we're going to manage repositories. We're going to create a new one. You can name it whatever you want. We're just going to name it vClusterPro, put in a description if you need to. For the URL, we're going to do charts.loft.sh, and then we're going to create it. If we go back over to the extension section and we look at available extensions, we can see vClusterPro's there. So what we can do is install it from here. We're going to install the latest version. After the latest version has been installed, what we'll do is go over to the cluster management section, and we need to configure something here in the config. So in the labels and annotations, we need to tell it where our vClusterPro instance is. We will create this key for host name, and we will tell it exactly where our vClusterPro is hosted. In this case, it's demo.vcluster-demo.com. From here, we're going to go over to the vClusterPro UI, and what we need to do is click on admin, and then we're going to configure Rancher within this admin configuration. So we need a bearer token, the host name, and we need to specify if it's going to be secure or insecure. So in our example, we've got our API token that's created within Rancher. We've got the host name for Rancher, which is rancher.vcluster-demo.com. And we have insecure false, meaning that we are going to make sure that everything is secure and that we are using certificates that are valid. After that's finished and everything is saved and configured, what we'll do is we'll hop back over to Rancher and we're going to create a project. So we're going to go ahead and create a project called AI Research, and then we'll go in and edit the YAML to pull the project ID. So the project ID is going to be in the name section. So we'll go ahead and copy that, and then we'll go back over to our vClusterPro setup, and we will create a project that matches this one-to-one. So now we're creating a new project in vClusterPro. We're going to name it AI Research. We're going to add some users to this project so that they're able to do stuff within it. And then we're going to go down to the Rancher integration and enable it. And then here, this is where we're going to put in the Rancher project ID and then the Rancher cluster, which is going to be local. After that, go back into Rancher and create a cluster. So within here, we can go ahead and create a new cluster. We're going to name it My vCluster. And then we're going to select the AI Research project that we just created. And then we're going to create this vCluster, which is going to bring us back over to the vClusterPro UI. So we'll go ahead and select a template and then just create. Now it's going to take a minute for this to go ahead and get created. And then what we can do is we can add this to Rancher. So we'll go ahead and hit this slider, add it to Rancher, and then go back over to the Rancher UI by clicking the Rancher icon in the top right. And then it's going to wait for the API to be available. And then once it's available, we should be able to drill down into this and see more information about that cluster. But this is how you can create a cluster with the plugin. What we'll do next is we will import a cluster that already exists, but in this case, we'll create it and then import it within vCluster. All right, so let's go back over to vClusterPro. We're going to create a new cluster. We're going to call this the imported cluster. Go ahead and create it with the same template. It's going to take a minute for it to come up. And then once it has come up, what we can do is we can add it to Rancher in the same way that we did previously. So say you already have clusters that have been created and you want to have them added to Rancher after the fact, you can do that too. So if you're just adding the Rancher integration now, and you've been using vClusterPro for a while, you can import your old clusters into the Rancher UI so that you can see them there. Thank you for checking out this video. If you want to get started with vClusterPro today, go ahead and check out the description. We've got some useful information below there. If you've got Rancher and you've got vClusterPro and you want to get them integrated, we also have some information about the configuration and setup.